Bam, bam, bam. He or she said, cancel this damn show. They hate it. What? Hold on. Wait a minute.
Make black hair great again.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now, woo.
We're coming. Get our check.
Cheryl, Morrow, the one, the only, the hair oracle.
Well, I think it was Red Dot, and then we also had a cosmetology school instructor in the chat, Miss Denise West, Michelle Allen, Miss Foster. Dang, I missed your name. It's always nice to see Miss Foster in the chat. Michelle Allen, you know how much we love you too.
What? About a whole lot of peace. Cheryl, you order that in a bag of chips.
What's up?
Yeah. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Good people. How you guys doing out there? You got, you know, who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha, right? AKA Key and Lolo. Looking at a message from Instagram. They're saying Instagram is not working right now, but that's okay because we are officially 163 episodes in, and we're going to be talking about some of these secrets of these Black hair care innovators from the past, because what we're finding out, Cheryl, is that people just don't know. They don't know these secrets and who these people are and why they did what they did. And so we have to continue this episode because I don't know, aside from your beautiful hair, but we got a lot of big ups from our last episode. Did you know that?
We did.
Dude, yes, we did. Hold on, hair oracle. That's the hair oracle, Cheryl Morrow. Something just popped up in the feed. And if we can say this is what happened, because she and Sandra E are our official virtual host, and I'm going to believe it. So I'm gonna go ahead on, because I think that this is the perfect way to start off our 163rd episode. It's in the chat. And Wike says it is official. We actually made it to 3,000 subscribers. Now let me tell y'all something. God damn it. Let me tell y'all something, right? Let me just get that round of applause going on. One more round of applause for your people. Oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. Man, we have we've been trying to get to this 3,000. We would go up, it would go down. So thank you. We really appreciate that. Wike appreciates you. Sandra, our virtual co-host. They appreciate. They have been in the chat begging y'all, come on and subscribe to America's favorite podcast about Afro hair. Again, I am Ladosha Wright, and then right over there with that beautiful bun up in her hair is the one and only Cheryl Morrow, aka the Hair Oracle. And this has really been a work in progress. Let me just tell you, podcast ain't for the faint at heart. What do you say about that?
No.
So since we made 3,000 subscribers, I'm sure by now there are still some people who are actually just watching this for the first time. I was like, YouTube done put this thing in my algorithms, and what is this? So let's share with some of the people why Wike and Sandra decided to be our virtual co-host, and tell them, why did we do Afro Hair Science YouTube channel, so that they can hear straight from, the cosmetologist, mouth. So go ahead on and break it down. What's up, Selena? I see you. Come on through.
We want you to, first of all, to know how brilliant and just how forward-thinking your ancestors were, and the people who built an industry that is spiritually aligned for you to become wealthy, empowered, financially secure. Beauty is completely spiritually aligned for you to win. And so we want to make sure that it's fully represented, that it is not blamed, defamed, misnamed, vilified, confused, misconstrued in any way. And you can hear it from a child. I grew up in it and I was there. Some of the greats, legends have taken time with me to speak with me, teach me, and to be able to show me the way to go. And so I am not making it up as I go. I inherited it. I do not have to redo anything, rebuild it. They did the heavy lifting. All I need to do is continue it, carry it along, and give it to those who will listen. So that is why I'm here. And Ladosha was my huckleberry, or I was her huckleberry. She said, "Get your ass on this phone.
You better get on this podcast.
They're saying the wrong shit, and I can't take it because I want to do something back. I'm about to go off."
I was like the Bismarck.
Now let me tell you, I didn't know her. I just want to let you know. That's how she ambushed. She just said, "We got to do something. I'm sick of this shit." So that's how.
Auntie, what's up, Ephraim? Don't worry, Ephraim. I got your video that's about to come up. Yeah. So we got a couple of minutes. So we got to tell you guys just to kind of update you before we get into our topic. Again, we're talking about the secret history. That's right. It seems to be a secret to a lot of people, but to us, it's kind of heir apparent. So we're going to reveal it. We're going to continue because last week, boy, I'm telling you, Mr. Jemison Jr., Jesus Christ, he brought the funk. Okay. And so we're going to continue on with that as we get ready. I think you guys are really, really going to love this this particular episode again. But as we get ready to keep this conversation going, we just want to let you know what we have coming up next month. Okay, the big chop. What has the natural hair movement taught us about that big chop? So July, the whole series, we're going to be talking about cutting that hair off. We got to go with the split ends. What has the natural hair movement taught us about that? Because remember, 2025 gives us 25 years of the natural hair movement. And I don't know if you were around, but Cheryl, do you remember when the big chop just came and it was like, everybody was like, cut it all off, just chop it off. Do you remember that? I couldn't understand.
Like, it was almost like a badge of honor. Like, it was really weird, right? And and
they was cutting off their hair.
They were cutting
the bad ends off. I want to cut off the chemicals. I want to cut off.
They was cutting a lot off. And literally.
Yeah, so that's going to happen here. Now you can't. When we talk about the dumbest shit that people say about black hair.
We do indeed.
This got to be the dumbest. What's up, LinkedIn? What's up again? YouTube, Instagram. We sorry you can't get us, but we're gonna shout y'all out anyway. Facebook, you can't get no dumber than the big chop. I can't believe, like, why y'all cutting off y'all hair like this, those stupid stuff. Now, if you don't want it, that's a whole nother conversation. Just go on and cut it off. So that's what's going to happen here. When we move over to Planet Pluto Pseudo on Thursdays, remember, the first Thursday of every month, we always kick it off with who? The one and only Dr. Joy. She is our resident, holistic and natural expert, so she's a nutrition expert. So she's going to be rocking it out with us this Thursday. Okay, so get ready for her. And I think that's the day before the 4th. So no excuses, okay? I know she's going to talk about eating that barbecue. We're going to talk about what
I'm going to tell you right now. Y'all better get this knowledge. Damn that holiday that really was a thorn in your side.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit when we get there on Thursday because we're going to got a little precursor, okay? Right. So we have that's also definitely going to be coming up. But again, tonight, in case you just want to know, here's our little the unsung educators in the Black beauty industry. There it is. That's that secret right there that you guys don't know that much about. But what we did do, I'm going to take this is about a 2-minute video now. Ephraim Abdullah of Gab Media Productions. Where you at, Ephraim? Oh shoot, my boss is in the chat. Hey boss, how you doing? So here's Ephraim right here saying it sounds like culture to him. So he and Mr. Latif, and myself and Cheryl and Erica and Waverly, we are like the passion people in the Barber and Beauty Collective. So he put together a video and he asked for some footage to put on top of it. So I took the liberty to add to what I think he was trying to do. So I'm going to go ahead on and just show it because the fete du jour, it's actually on and crack-a-lacking here in Cleveland. So I'm going to take a moment out and show you guys the video. Let me make sure I got the right, because I got a whole bunch of clips up there. Okay, here it is. All right, so sure, let's get ready to get you guys ready
to get down.
The fete du jour. I'm going to share the screen right quick, and let me find it. Here it is right here. Let me go on up and share. And let me hit that play button. Here you go. A couple of minutes on the fete du jour recap. Here you go. Check out the recap of the industry's fete du jour. First of all, thank you so much for my help.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. It was nice to recognize you, show you how much you appreciate it.
I definitely appreciate it.
I know a lot of times in our industry we work because we work. But we never take time out to show each other how much we appreciate one another.
Fly, dope swaggy, that's how I roll. On another level, on another level, on another one above me.
I'm switching the yo, go like that, going back to the base. Back to the base. Back to the base. Yo, how I can never act. Been trying to stack up racks on racks. Boys in the back wearing no staying on track. But I should show you and that's on me. Out here.
I'm telling you, when we were doing this, my DM was just flooded. You gotta hit up Milano. You gotta hit up Milano. And so when we got here today to see all the love, it was like, okay, they knew what they were talking about. So that is what the fete du jour is all about. It's a day party to celebrate each other in the industry and of course pay homage to people.
Spend all my weekends on you, beautiful. Guess I'll never know how you exist, how you do it the way you do. Like fireworks in the dark, superstars, you're all I wanna see. Oh, I just can't believe how much you got my heart. You are a shooting star. Some things make sense to me, but I still can't believe how wonderful you are.
All right. There you have it right there, Cheryl. That's how it went down. It was absolutely phenomenal. Now, to those of you who are new, again, to the platform and what we're doing here, the last Sunday of every month, we literally physically go to a barbershop, a nail spa, a skincare, makeup, and we show up and we celebrate people in our industry. And Milano was actually overwhelmed. Barbers were coming in and he was like, oh my God. Like, it's, people were just showing up. Other business owners came in. We had Miss Katrina from Cafe La. She was like, I heard about it. And she wanted to know exactly what is going on in the industry. So other business owners actually showed up and they wanted to know. Remember, we also did, thanks to Mr. Latif, we had the cast, the actress and the actors. Are they called cast? Am I saying that right, Cheryl? Okay. The cast, yes, from the movie The Interval. And this was a film by Marquette J. Williams. And what I did not know, we had Mr. Armand on there. He was the co-producer, or he was the producer. I did not know that the students, they actually, I think he mentioned it a little bit, but I didn't think I realized that the students actually shot this movie. And it was really good. I didn't get a chance to stay because we had to go and set up for the fete du jour, but they had rolled out the red carpet. It was very, very, very impressive. So he said if you screenshot this photo and then scan that QR code, and that baby is pretty much going throughout the United States. They worked really hard to push this out. And so I think for him to, give that entire project to students and then to partner with the barber and beauty industry, and they signed autographs all the way through. I mean, the children, the parents, they were just floored by the response, because this is what the barber and beauty industry does. So tonight, our topic about the secret of the Black hair care innovators, we're going to share that with you guys more into detail. I think that was very befitting. What do you think about that, Cheryl? Because a lot of people, I think they see us as like just the hair, skin, like the hair people, the makeup people. But this time we did something different by giving them a platform to talk about their content, their movie, as well as actually give them a premiere party at a barbershop, that was the bomb. Not even trying to joke.
Yeah. I think that's just really inviting and kind of collaborating. We just kind of like snatched the film industry almost. We just kind of snatched them and just kind of like made them a part of it, and just us wanting to kind of collaborate and also have them join us in the conversation as we elevate and go to other parts of the beauty industry, trying to connect filmmaking to us.
Right. And that was the beauty of it. Thank you, Ephraim. It was a combination of students and professionals, because Mr. Marquette has a extensive history in filmmaking. And he was saying he didn't feel that people should have to go all the way to LA or New York to make a film, that you could do this right there. And then you had Charlie was there. I met him when we did he helped us out during the Afro Hair Science Summit. Mm-hmm. So he was there. He actually was a part of that. And the beauty of it, guys, was that, remember, our theme this month for July was filmmaking. And so you had the opportunity to actually talk to the people who are doing the stuff that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And this is what we said this month of July was about over on Planet Pluto Pseudo. And God just co-conspired to make sure that we were able to deliver that to the people in our industry. So again, we would like to thank Mr. Marquette and Mr. Armand, and these are the creators of the interval, for allowing us to be a part of their platform. And I guarantee you, once it comes out, or if it comes near your neighborhood, please support the project, because this is how we make these things happen. So I just want to once again say, Cheryl, I think we're doing some wonderful things here in Cleveland. Don't forget, we're gonna try to come in. We're definitely gonna do it in San Diego, right? We're coming.
It's going funnel.
Make it happen.
Yeah, it's going. Right. And I want you guys and say that's when I have to have kind of far away so y'all can prepare to come. We don't have the Cleveland crew in Dago, which is the home of the Black hair care beauty industry. As far as I'm concerned, everything, came through the Harlem of the West, and we got to make it happen.
Yeah. I also would like to give a super duper shout out to Miss Regina Green 2988. I don't know if she's that's your aunt?
That's mine.
Okay. So she really appreciated the content last week, and she said, thank you guys so much for sharing. So Miss Regina, we appreciate you. And then also Mr. Danny, y'all know Danny Michael, my little LA crush, okay? He actually gave us a super chat. Yeah, Las Vegas. I'm sorry. He gave us a super chat a donation. Yes, he did. So thank you so much. He enjoyed the content. Yeah, that got over 150 views. So that was pretty nice. So Mr. Jimison, we got to have you back on, and we hope that he'll take us up on his offer where every 3 months we will have them highlight some history. Because tonight, when we talk about the secret of the Black hair care innovators, is that they've already done a lot of stuff. And so we see in this particular podcast, I hope y'all don't get upset, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
About the Tribe Called Quest. Can I kick it? Well, go on in. So I'm gonna go ahead on and say that this particular podcast is dedicated to the natural hair community and their education, because they are really, really struggling to get their braiders, their locticians, their natural hairstylists educated, and what we want you guys to know more than anything. And I think last weekend with Mr. Jamison, and I'm just going to show this to help set the tone and why we're going to dedicate this one to you all, is because here you have Madam N.A. Franklin, and remember, Madam Nobia A. Franklin. She was one of the first to write a cosmetology curriculum, and what you guys are looking for, it is already in existence. And I know you guys think cosmetology is not where it's at, but we're here to tell you it is. And so, Cheryl, with that being said, let's open it up as we dedicate the secret history. We're going to open it up so that the natural hair community can know who these people are. Get your Google, get your notebook out, do some research. We do have some information where they are active right now, and perhaps you guys can reach out to them. And Cheryl and I, we are here for you all to help you guys get what you're looking for. But we want you to know that the secret history is going to be revealed so that we can help you guys out, because your consumer base, they continue to fall for the dumbest. And we do mean the dumbest shit that people say about Black hair. So this particular podcast is geared, for the consumer. So you guys can go out and talk to your natural hairstylists, your braiders, your locticians, and let them know what you learned today. So Cheryl, let's kick it off. Let's get it going. It's going to get a little bit deep.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, and so let's start it off with number one. Now, where we're going off of what we see and who we've talked to in the natural hair industry.
Yeah.
So number one, why do you think they, in your opinion, they are not aware of these people, and why should they know who they are and begin to build? So that's three. Why don't they know? Why should they know? And how to build. So y'all consumers, take notes. I got my notebook.
You got your notebook?
Yeah, this is a little pack, but we got to help you guys out, okay?
Okay. Let me just say, by saying that you don't know because you're ignorant. Because if you were, I would say it. But it happened around 1988 when the curl went out of vogue. And it went out of style. And I'm going to tell you a story. Right in Atlanta, there's a street called Cortlandt Avenue. There used to be a hotel. I don't know if it's there now. Used to be the Radisson, and then it went to something else. Anyway, that's where the Bronner Brothers show was. And then Mr. Morrow said, okay, the curl is shifting. We're going to shift to the dry curl. Or we can shift to a technology of taking the curl out, and then you can go back to wearing straight hair. Now, he had every big wig black, and it was like private. I mean, them Muslims was watching the door, right? They was like in there, right? It was like the black Haircare mafia, right? In there. And at that point, I think maybe we had some interfighting, and they didn't go for it. And so Mr. Morrow went on to do it himself. And that is when he joined Sally Beauty Supply Company, in terms of, because they called and said, oh, the Korean movement was happening too fast, and they were taking over, and we are afraid we're going to get swallowed up. So, how white people call you, start crying and shivering. And so anyway, but the point is, around 1988, I believe at that point, manufacturers started turning their backs on the loyalty of the hairstylist. And so the hairstylist felt kind of betrayed. And so that festered, and right under there, the women who had a bunch of hair, because the curl grew the hair, right? And so shifting from a wet hairstyle to a dry hairstyle to the relaxer didn't quite technologically work out. And so we did not change fast enough technologically. Women's hair kind of didn't do well. And so we lost a lot of hair. And that is how the industry did not kind of answer the call. But to make a long story short, and to get to the point, into your question. And so there had become some misunderstandings, and I think the professional themselves became disenfranchised. And when that particular happened, the information epicenter was out of the salon at that point, out of the barbershop at that point. And then consumers were left to fend for themselves, basically, in terms of making decisions for themselves. And at that point, that naturally changed beauty school.
That's funny. How many people in the chat had a jerry curl and had a difficult time transitioning? I didn't. The people in my family had it, and I just didn't see any. Nobody's hair fell out of my family. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but if you witnessed that, because remember, this particular platform is for the consumers. So I'm just wondering, did anybody notice that? The hair coming out when they decided that they didn't want the cold wave perm anymore, wanted to move to the relaxer. I didn't see that. Okay.
And if you that's where all the nice pixie kind of Toni Braxton, Halle Berry, Nita Baker haircuts started at that time, because of course they had lots of hair and they just cut the tips. They just didn't get a touch up, and they just went relaxer. But what I'm basically saying, trends changes beauty school, and then it also changes our access to information. And from that era, and I think that era kind of muddied the waters. And so you have, and you think about natural hair care as being 25 years old, but in 2000, the curl had already been 30 years old. So it's 50 at this point.
Okay.
So, but there would not be a reason to have a conversation about those progenitors.
Okay.
Because you're only conversing about the next wave of success. And so that did not carry over. And so you're not going to get the conversations about the people we're going to talk about today. But those are the foundations. Those are the progenitors of what the residual of the wave we're riding on today. But I think the most important part of not remembering them or being aware of them is that we lose their savvy. We lose their business acumen. We lose what they did to market. We lose their CEO style. We lose the way how they founded their companies. So we begin to talk about Steve Jobs instead of talking about Anthony Overton.
So you're saying that this, in the beginning, some of the reason that they don't know about it was the gap that took place between the transitioning from the curl to the relaxer, and that began this. Okay, we don't trust this chemical thing, and then it just kind of okay.
Said it best, and then you begin to have some your betrayals become intersectioned.
Okay, so now we see that they felt betrayed because the beauty industry just didn't catch up fast enough, or it did, but we didn't have the mechanisms to get it out fast enough to resolve their concerns, right? So now, why should they trust us now? Because now they like, well, y'all wasn't ready back then. Y'all didn't have the technology to get it all out to us now. So why should they trust that this is where they can come to get this information about this secret here? So why should they trust the information that we are about to give them right now?
Well, the same reason why you trust what Marcus Garvey said. Same reason why you trust what Malcolm X said. Same reason why you trust what Martin Luther King said. You trust all of them. You trust them and the things that everything that they did and said did not steer us socially correct. Everything that Martin Luther King said did not steer us economically correct.
True.
There's a lot of mistakes that they did make. Okay. There's a lot of mistakes we did in the Voters' Right Act. We were supposed to concentrate on the 13th, 14th Amendment, which made you a U.S. citizen, which you over-earned. But you still went to the marketplace and the political realm with a statutory campaign to vote for what? If you were already a citizen. And so we made a lot of mistakes.
Now that takes some cojones, no pun intended, to admit that we made the mistakes, but you can still trust that we can move the needle along.
How many white men made mistakes in government, in medicine? Why would you trust a white doctor again after what they did to the Tuskegee Airmen? Mm-hmm. So we do either two things. We either over police black people over police black people. We have these very high standards of performance.
That's true.
Or we lower it and have low expectations and make excuses.
So you're saying that right now, in order to move the needle on the conversation for the natural hair community, because my concern about them is that they are going to, how when you were a kid and you try to do something slick, all right, y'all ready for this one? And your mama would say, you can't out slick the slickster. You know what I'm saying?
You can't shit in the shitter.
Yeah, I don't want them to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that this isn't that we have to be honest. And I know for a fact that Cheryl, you are one of the best people who could, put it to us succinctly so that we can move that conversation along. And so we hope that everybody in the natural hair community will get some of the information, and you guys as their customers, invite them to join, our podcast, and we would love to have them on the show. So if you have someone who wants to come on, by all means, let us know, and email us at afrohairscience@gmail.com. So now we have the reason why they didn't, and now we know the reason why they should trust us. So now we need to move it along a little bit more and just kind of go into about these people that we're going to kind of highlight some and go into detail. So why are we going so far back? They're like, oh God, Cheryl, y'all just go. That was the 19th century. It's the 21st century. So why are we going so far back to help build them up to what they need right now? In case you want to know, what are they looking for? They are looking for their professionals to become licensed, educated, and licensed. There definitely is a rift between natural hairstylists in America and natural hairstylists from Africa. So the African professionals have no idea, like, why y'all coming to us with this? We need education. We need license. We're trying to get a job out here. What y'all doing? And Americans are like, because this is what we do in America. We need to have this. So that's two of their, rifts. One, they want the education. They want the license. They really want that. That's their goal. And then two, they want to connect with the Africans who are technically, they are natural hairstylists, and they are like, we don't know what you Americans are talking about, So now that we get there, why are we going so far back to move it forward? why are we going to talk about these people? We're talking about Dr. Katie Wickham. We're talking about we have some more people, Annie Turbo Malone. Why are we going there with all of these Sarah Spencer Washington? Why so far back?
Because we're trying to make Black hair care great again. We're trying to get we're trying to create an epicenter, a nucleus, to where a point in history where we started. We're not gonna, you have to remember, everyone that's on the podcast now do not know and do not understand, do not want to understand what it is to sharecrop, to be enslaved, to be owned, to be restricted, to live in cities and neighborhoods where you cannot go someplace and cannot do something. So we are trying to tell a story of people who superseded that, right? The same reason we talk about Rosewood, Greenwood,
Okay.
the reason why we do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of talking about industry, regardless if it's jazz and baseball, which we had, or the Portmans or barbers, we're talking about barbers and hairstylists. Those particular people we want to go back to one little nucleus, one point in time when we got it right.
Okay.
Okay.
We got it right. We had it right.
They
Okay, so they did it right. So now we hear you talk about this person. Now, I've never heard of Dr. Katie Wickham until I became a member of the Ohio Association of Beauticians. So that would be about maybe like 15, 16 years ago. But prior to, becoming a member, which thank you, Ephraim. Hey, so Ephraim definitely encouraged me to become a part of that organization. And so let's start off with her because she's someone that you just talk about all the time. So who was this phenomenal woman, Dr. Katie E. Wickham?
Wow.
Because you love her. You talk about her so much.
That she's actually, if I would have an organization or create a new organization, I would copy her style. Her style of leadership is probably the most unbelievable tenure of governing the largest group, the most successful era of governing thousands of hairstylists. Dr. Katie Wickham was the most influential woman of her time. Bigger than Oprah. She was well respected by presidents and statesmen in all of her and just in every demographic of life.
Okay.
And she had this real uncanny skill set to bridge the political process to hairstyling. So much that she organized the largest fundraising organization in the country of the march of the. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me just pause you right there. Now listen up, natural hair community. Remember the secret. She just dropped the jewel. How many people in the chat can tell us the jewel that Cheryl just dropped, okay, about what Dr. Wickham did to move the needle for the cosmetology industry? Because we want you guys to walk away with some actual tips, because remember, Cheryl keeps saying over and over and over, we already did that. And I'm like, would you stop saying that? But now I see what she means, that we already did that. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you watch my YouTube short, we promised you guys we would deliver. So who can drop in the chat the nugget that Cheryl just shared with what Dr. Wickham did, right, to help move that needle for our industry so that the people in the natural hair industry can move their needle the same way. And I know for me, I'm doing it, and hopefully, I don't want to jump ahead before I give that say what I'm saying here. So let's see how many people did anybody catch that what she said that Dr. Katie Wickham did. Now, what year was this? This was 19 in the early 1900s.
Right. Let me
Go ahead. I'll wait for a response. Keep going.
Okay. So when she did that, brought the political community into the organization, she needed to endear them with something. And so the National Beauty Cultures League, and she knew she had to do it with something that the political community could understand. And so what she did was she was the largest donor and fundraiser for the entire March of Dimes after World War II. And they made sure that the National Beauty Cultures League showed them the money. And so when she took the money to the political process and said, here is what this organization can do in government, in on the city and the state and the federal level. And she made sure that the National Beauty Cultures League at that time could make a financial investment into into society, into the social realm. And when she took it to Washington, they were so impressed that Dr. Katie Wickham was the only African American who was the CEO and president of any Black organization to put a wreath on JFK's gravesite at his funeral. She represented Blackness and Black people and Black organization and the beauty industry very well for 57 years. Incredible president. And that is when you're focused on moving your organization's interest and agenda forward. And so she's my favorite Black hair care icon, in my opinion.
Wow. That's powerful. I think what I want people to understand, well, I don't think, I know for a fact what we want people to understand is that you can't do this in the silos. So when we ask the question, or rather I asked the question, what did Dr. Wickham do to move the needle on the education of cosmetology for the nation? This was not just for Black people, okay? It was for the nation, okay? So Mr. Abdullah said she did fundraising, but she did it for who? She did it in partnership with who? She did
it in partnership when she knew she had to take a low-hanging fruit, because at that point during the war years, okay, the women took the forefront in the civil, like in all the civil levels. And the March of Dimes was huge at that time. Okay. And so what she made sure that she took a low hanging fruit, and because they did a campaign to get all these organizations on board, she wanted to show up and show out. And she did in a very big way. She knew that would catapult and create a cataclysmic kind of wave, tsunami in terms of notoriety. She needed that clout.
Right.
Needed that clout to then form all of the subsequent corporate relationships. Okay. Pharmaceutical relationships. She needed that clout to be able to influence the relationships in politics. She needed that. And so it's almost like this. Let's say what she would do the same with the Crown Act. Let's say she would use that moment, right, from an organizational standpoint, and she would lobby into and connect and collaborate in ways that we would get our interest. So if we wanted to rewrite it to make it to where it has teeth, and to where it actually goes to the courts and actually we, do something different with it. And that's just using an example. Dr. Katie Wickham would not go without any clout or weight. She would need the partnerships and the influence based on what we could bring from a perspective, what we could bring, we could do. That's what her. That's the difference. It just wouldn't be
willy-nilly out here. Yeah. And I think, because I don't want to sound insulting, but the natural hair community went at it kind of backwards. Remember, this is not condescending. We're trying to give you guys the meat to put on the bone or whatever, something to that effect. But because you went at it to say niche it out, right? You partnered with the wrong people. You went with the Institute for Justice to first fight for the right to work without the license. So that was not the way, right? And then you segregated it, you made it a black thing, and then you jumped ahead and went another step further with the Crown Act. When you look at the history, now remember, we're telling you guys this because the secret history of the Black Hair Care Educational Innovators was that they partnered with the key people in politics. They did something for them. They raised the money. And I know we don't like this, but you got to, right? But Cheryl said before she did that, she did something great for the March of Dimes. And so I know that in our industry, philanthropy just does not come up. It's not talked about. Oh, we'll never get there. What do you say to people like, damn, y'all, we got to go through all of that when you talk about the secret to help, move that needle for those natural hair styling professionals?
Well, one, you went without historical reference. Yeah. When you make a move, okay, when coaches, especially football coaches doing football or basketball, whatever sports, how did we lose or how did we win, right? And you sit back and you watch the clips of the last game. You don't go in there and try to strategize with no history. And you get up there and you say, you see that thing right there? And I think there's a video with Rashida on TikTok and Instagram. She says, you went, okay, this is a road. And then you made a left. And there's a tree right there. And then you made another left. And that's where you got me mucked up, right? We have to see a progression of how your people did make a mistake. Or they had some success right here. You do what is successful. Or you do what was a misstep. And so you went to the marketplace with no historical reference. So therefore, you had no wisdom and knowledge. That's number one. Second, if you do not have any influence, okay, and to determine, because let me say this. Our advocacy or our activism, okay, there's a word in law called a war chest. Okay. And so when you go to war, you got to have, what's one of the things that they have contracts in war, which means war makes a lot of money or takes a lot of money for war.
That part.
Okay? All right. So you plan. So my point is that Dr. Katie Wickham understood the war chest. Okay. She also knew that she wanted to get in the room. But sometimes you got to pay to play.
Got to pay to play now.
And so the March of Dimes is like the Girl Scouts for businesses. She knew if her organization could overperform and to get out and show up and, show out.
That's right.
Understood that her ass, that's what we call, you know what I'm saying? She didn't want no free ticket at the table. She wanted a ticket.
All right. Now we got a dope question right here. All right. So why does it have to be tied to politics? I was hoping somebody's going to ask that question, but before Cheryl gives the answer, because I got a response to that too, and I knew I was hoping like somebody please ask the question, which only means you guys are really enjoying this content.
Great
But
question, Trish.
Week A, and our other virtual co-host Sandra says, now is the time. If you want this answer, now is the time to not only subscribe, okay, but you need to hit that thumbs up button to help change the narrative about the secret on these Black hair educators and innovators in our industry. Here you go, Cheryl. Show them how to do it right now. Here we go, guys. So now the question is, I'm trying to figure out why does getting some legitimate education and legalities around the licensure for that natural hair community and even cosmetology, for that matter, and barbering, why does it have to be tied to politics, Miss Smarty Pants, you hair oracle, you? Thanks. Thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Trish, for the question. Two reasons. And I'm going to tell you one with a story. Okay. But first, politics, and there's a great man, one of my favorite, I think one of the smartest men to ever come from Black America ever produced, a man named Attorney Alton Maddox. And then he would always say that politics is a management system when other people fight over other people's resources. It's a management system when other people start stealing other people's shit. It's a management system. And so when you need something, okay, and they didn't steal it culturally, they stole it economically. So in order to even the playing field, you got to go back in politically, go back to the management system and recorrect it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or you have, because you don't want to say politics so much, you want to say legislatively, right? Because lobby deals with what? Policy. And so they play the game called politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the thievery, 9 times out of 10, people can't take culture, steal culture. They just start wearing it, or they'll start saying it or singing it or dancing, but they don't take it anywhere. But they can take literally resources. They can take laws and really economically disrupt what your culture needs to survive inside their communities. But there's a story. Mr. Morrow used to always tell me about that very question you asked. And there was a white man who got driving a car and got into a ditch. Black man came along with a donkey. He said, "Well, you'd like me to help you out? I got a rope." So they tied the rope around the car. And he said, "Oh, thank you, sir." And so Black man said, "Dorothy, Tony, Jezebel, Lucille." And the man said, "Excuse me, what's the donkey's name?" "Oh," he said, "the donkey's name is Desmond." He said, "Well, why are you calling them all those other names?" He said, "Well, because if this donkey, if this mule here don't think that he got some help, it ain't going to help it, it ain't going to pull." So we need to have some help. Because if one person does things that is just that much harder, they won't do anything. And so the legislative process in politics allows us to have partners, sponsors, help. Because one person can't do that particular process alone. And if they did, they knew they was alone, probably most times they wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, and nobody would really trust that. That's I hope that deserves a big round of applause. That was a very, very powerful response, because we want you guys to really get this. You know what I'm saying? So big ups to Cheryl for that wonderful.
And let me just say this. Today, our activists seem to think cause is enough just because you have a cause and you even have a need, all that means is that you're suffering for free.
Mm-hmm.
Your suffrage is must have money, power, and influence behind it in order for it to have the momentum and the synergy to change the conditions and standards of which we want to change.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just going to piggyback off of that because I lived it, what Cheryl is saying. I definitely was one of those people. Now, I wish she was in the chat, but sometimes you'll see former Senator Shirley Smith will pop up in the chat. And I was one of those. I was one of those people like you, Trish, with that question. But unlike you, you're just very polished. I was just like real ghetto, like, first of all, just that whole visceral thing. And she taught me two things, all right, which was Cheryl said. Number one, it is in numbers, but I shouldn't say she taught me this, but this is what I gathered when it comes to the response of why does it have to be tied to politics? Because number one, it legitimizes it within the infrastructure of the society that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So other places around the world may not have a democracy. If they do, it may not be like America, or your city may be different, from the next city over. So wherever you're at in that space, however the society operates, it doesn't serve you to be an outlier. So in America, as much as we hate to say it, and we see this happening with the MAGA movement, where they are deliberately trying to downplay, education and people who have, degrees and things, it won't work. It will never work, because the society in America has already demonstrated and put together all the infrastructures, what education can do for you, and it's legal. So that's one. The second thing, of course, is going to be credibility. You do not want people, in front of you giving instructions who are half crocked and half cocked. So when you partner with these politicians, you're going to see who comes out in the wash. And there's a lot of phony people. I ain't going to say no names, though I really want to, okay? There's a lot of phony people out here perpetrating the fraud. They are not going to the places like Cheryl and I went to Atlanta. We are in their city, by the way. None of them showed up. None of them showed up for that. Remember, everybody in the chat, this is the legitimate process.
Miss K did. Miss K. Auntie Hair Coach, Tasha, they was there.
Yeah, all of these are people in the industry. These ain't just any old body. And that's a natural hairstylist with her fist up in the back, okay? So when you go this route, you're going to see who going to show up and show out. You saw when the gentleman that was denied access to school in Texas, right, for his locks, where were they? So when you do this the correct way, you're going to see who is credible and who is not. Or better yet, who is incredible and who is not. Because Kay over there, Miss Kay Cantrell, incredible.
That's right. Incredible.
They were in their state. They did not know until Cheryl and I brought it to their attention. Are you aware that they are about to niche this out? You see what I'm saying? And within 48 hours, Kay Cantrell.
Man,
how fast was it?
Man,
how fast was it?
That's just, man, let me tell you something.
And follow her. She works in the industry. She's here on Facebook. She's on Instagram. K, that's Cantrell. Kay Cantrell stepped up to the plate. The young lady, Auntie Hair Coach, she met us in the town hall and was like, I'm ready now.
What are we doing? Where are we going? What's happening?
She said, well,
when I know it.
She didn't even know. She knows from a can of paint. But if you look at that picture, it looks like we all planned this. The young lady in the middle, she met us hours. We pulled up and she was like, what y'all doing?
They doing
what y'all doing? What? And Rashida lives in Atlanta. and she's not even a hairstylist. She
was like, what? They doing what? Oh, hell no.
She's from Cleveland. So I hope you guys understand why does it have
look at them in the back walking out.
Yeah, they was like, God dog it. And we shut them down. We shut them down that day. We made that, we legitimately made that happen. And it was just a wonderful thing to see, unfold in real time, in our industry. And so here's what happened at the end. I got to do it. Here you go, Trish. I got to do it.
Hello. We're here in Atlanta. I'm so excited. Y'all, I can't believe it. I feel like crying. We did it! Oh my God! Oh my God! They said, no! This is what we're talking about.
So much, who was it? You said, just what you see ain't the whole story. I think you said that. It's so much deeper and so much more. And that's great. It can really hurt somebody.
That's why I said we appreciate you allowing us to speak up.
And that is great. But you know what I was thinking about when I was sitting there? This is how I was actually thinking. Boy, Madam C.J. Walker would be proud of you.
Yes.
We have a thing for it. We have a legacy.
You see that? That's why I get goosebumps every time. I will save that to the cows come home. Play that at my funeral. Because what we're talking about, this National Beauty Culturalist League, guys, that was founded by Madam C.J. Walker and Dr. Katie Wickham. She took it. This is what Cheryl was saying. Madam C.J. Walker did the heavy lifting. This woman who Cheryl patterns her everything after, like I'm Olive Benson to Olive Benson. This is Cheryl's shero. And so we want you guys to see in the natural hair community, you have to do this. Go ahead, Cheryl. Go ahead.
No, I just want to make a correction before they call me if they see this. Madam C.J. Walker did not find the National Beauty Culture, but I'm just saying she did support it. She had to understand she died in 1919, the year that they founded it. But it was wonderful men and women. Maud Gasson from New York, and we're gonna get them phone calls, Kilo, okay? But totally, I think what they get mixed up sometimes, and it's easy. I think she also co-founded with Booker T. Williams the Black Manufacturers. That is what she did help finance. National Beauty Culture League was a totally different thing. Just wanted to get that correct before they call me talking about I don't want to hear that. I hear their mouth.
But as we go, when and Trish says she still can't see why politics to create an organization, and we just gave you, what politics will do.
No.
And that politics and politicians.
Let me just say this. That's a totally different question. We were not talking about the creation of organizations. We were not talking about creation of associations. We were not talking about the creation of institutions to provide education. Now, I do want you to understand that at the time with a Nobia Franklin or a Sarah Spencer Washington, a Madam C.J. Walker or Annie Malone were forming, and Anthony Overton. Okay, and Booker T. Washington also had these classes available on Tuskegee and Fisk and things of that nature. That's totally different, whole nother question. We were talking about Dr. Katie Wickham in conjunction of moving, okay, the agenda
for licensure.
Right.
Yeah,
because
this is licensure.
Problems that they are facing now, the lack of their issues in coalition with the African Greater Coalition.
You have to, I'm sorry to jump in, Cheryl, but you have to admit, you're not going to a dentist. You're not going to a chef. It's just some things you just not, what they say, what we ain't going to do is you need your professional to somehow, some way be legitimized. And within this American culture, licensure, it increases. There's no guarantee, but it increases the likelihood, and there's a route, there's a pathway to hold people accountable when they fall short. Now, again, these are not 100% guarantees, but that is an infrastructure that licensure can do, and we see it in cosmetology in our industry. I have admitted I have been taken to court. Now, they did not win, but that person had a right to find out, number one, who is Ladosha? Number one. Number two, is she registered with the state of Ohio? Number three, is she legally licensed to be doing what she's doing? Now I want to hold her accountable. Now you can say, well, you can go to civil court if you can find them.
Right. And let me just go ahead and talk about what we call accountability. Okay, because I want to make sure, Trish, that we're not conflating the two conversations of Dr. Katie Wickham dealing with clout value and being able to align with things that she wants to get done when she is doing things in an organization. They did not need the political process to form these institutional associations and organizations. Please don't conflate that. Okay. And we're not talking about credibility. We're talking about standards. So everyone in the industry, when we do show up at our conventions, when we show up at our national conferences, that we are on the same page with the level of standard. That is what we call accreditation. Okay. It's just a oath. It's the same Hippocratic oath that doctors take because we don't let each other fall beneath the standard, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I don't want you to get confused. Standards versus credibility. Mm-hmm. We're not, the credibility is in the performance after you get the licensure. Mm-hmm. Okay. That is up to the professional to get the credibility. The accreditation is for the states to have checks and balances to make sure when you cut someone, you bleed out, or something that you are able to understand the sterilization, okay, versus sanitation, and to be able to understand because it's connected to commerce when someone pays you for something. Mm-hmm. And so that is what we have to be careful. And just because we're dealing, and I want you guys to listen to this, if you don't listen to nothing else, just because we're talking about black shit, I'm not lowering the standard and the qualifications and the validity of it just because it's black stuff. And just because it's cultural stuff. Cultural stuff did have a mechanism and an application and a modus of operandi and a means of science and a way to do things and a way to not do them. Just because I am black and I should have some cultural DNA connection to automatically how to do it, or it's
you don't get a pass.
No, you don't. And so when you pay me, and like they pay you, Trish, or they pay other people, the point of the matter is when you get ready for your conference and you know you're going to be in a room of your peers, that you are in the same room with the same person who believes and knows and understands and abides by the same levels of performance and service.
That's been set. That's a stamp that's been created and set. Yeah, and so you have this young lady here. To Cheryl's point, let me just take that comment down. So just to show this in real time, we have Dr. A. Laverne Canada. She is the current president of the National Beauty Culturist League. Beauty Culturist League. And so that is exactly what Cheryl is talking about in real time, is that we have to have these standards to make sure that, we can build upon, and that it's spread across, not only just here in the United States, but wherever we have this exchange, because like Cheryl said, what you will see happen is it'll just be all over the place. And I do think that what's happening in the natural hair community is that people are holding too much onto culture and too much onto the skin. And it's just
called beauty. And let me just say this. I want you guys to understand the difference between culture, ethnic, indigenous, endogenous culture, and corporate culture. Stop using the word wrong. We're not talking about culture in that way. We're talking about beauty culture in terms of peer togetherness. That is what, when people, you go and say, oh, I like working for them because of their corporate culture. Beauty Culturist League was not talking about everybody's ethnic culture. Okay. Put up Trisha's, I think she said something.
She was saying, yeah.
Is that what she was saying? No, because I don't want to miss her comments. She has great questions and comments.
Yeah. Now her comment before was just why do we need the politics? So you just kind of cleared that up, and then she came back through. So what we want, and this is why I said, with this particular podcast being for the consumers, we know, and it's just so much, I can't even get it all out. I still can't believe that Black women fell for it. And this is why, because now I can't, especially the Black professionals who have degrees, especially y'all with these, they're posting them all up on LinkedIn that they just received some, certification, some type of, certification. They also get, what's that when you, like a certificate, this is another one. So you receive, accolades for what you've been through, to get, wherever you are in your career. But then you have this natural hair community where you don't want them to have anything. Now, this is my gut belief of why that is because you don't want to pay them. You don't want to pay. You do not want it, because you guys with these degrees and these certifications, that justifies your income for sure. If you don't have a driver's license or a driver's license, a regular driver's license do not make as much money as a person with a CDL. That's a whole different type of a licensure, because that's a whole different type of a skill set. I mean, there's what they say, it's levels to this situation. So my personal and professional belief why they really like that whole Institute for Justice. But it's also, they didn't want them because they didn't want to pay them, because they know the minute you get those, because a lot of those braiders are also degreed. You'd be surprised. I know in our salon, I'm proud to say Christian has a degree. I'm proud to say that Tay has a degree. Even we have degrees. So
well, it's also more important, because I always talk about orientation versus education versus information. The cert, okay, or boards, because of course the doctor went to undergrad, and then they went to medical school, and then they went to residency, right? And then for some reason they have their favorite boards, they want to get board certified. Those are things that you don't have to get. You are a doctor after residency,
after all,
or during residency, but they want to get them because it looks great on their wall, because they know that they are completely, because of course you guys see this shit every day when you walk in the doctor's office. They got their college degree, then they medical degree, right, medical, and then they go through their residencies because they want to be peer reviewed by their peers, because these boards and certs come from prestigious places. Now, the difference between orientation, the peer association is very important, because orientation and what Ladosha is talking about, certain certs also. Now, remember how you get a driver's license and then you get a commercial one that you just said, right? You just said that, right?
The word.
But also, orientation says that you can go here, you can go there, and you without it cannot. And so if success is movement, if money is movement, if a promotion is elevation, which I'm saying is that sometimes extra certs or extra connections or extra education is about movement. Movement means success. And so I can park at something if I have this tag. you can't park there, which means that your ass can't go there. So it's about elevation and movement in society and certain things that you have access to that you don't. But I understand why, the natural hair would want it. But what I don't understand is why didn't you just stay in the field?
Right. Yeah, you niched it out.
Had it.
Right.
And you're proud to say that you deregulated yourself.
Yeah.
Only to 25 years later want to re-regulate yourself. It just.
And I know why they did that. They did that the pay. Yeah. The pay, and then of course the chaos. Again, they came to us with, we have the American natural hairstylists that are different. I don't want to say versus because that's not what was said to us, but they're different from the African quote unquote natural hairstylists. And so when you say, I think licensure standards should be a bare minimum and require continued education to maintain the license, that is the norm. Most states, you are required to have continuing education, or as my mentor Ivan Williams would say, the marketplace will determine your success. So even if you don't, I guarantee you your chances of going very far is drastically reduced.
You would have had the historical reference of coalition. You would have had all of the historical details and connections and relationships and collaborations and partnerships that you did not have to read. Right. And I think that is because one of the things that cause is not enough activists. Activists, hear me, a cause, a want, a desire. Because by the time your wants and desires only become bare needs, you're suffering. And one of the things that Dr. Amos Wilson says, there is nothing worse than dumb goodness and stupid suffering.
Nothing.
There's nothing worse than it. So you're unnecessarily. And I think that is one thing that we begin to start hustling instead of being heirs.
Right. And in our industry, you do. Yeah. You do have to, in Ohio, every state is different. But continuing education, it is mandatory to receive. Now, when you have an expertise such as hair coloring, if you can claim yourself as one all you want to, but the marketplace will not pay you if you don't have a certification. Why? Because people ask. If you are you, because you can call yourself, you could say, like the dentist could easily say that he could do cosmetic surgery. He could give you some Botox. They can, but the customers are going to want to see, are you certified to do that? They do ask, Trish. It is there.
Well, but what I'm confused about is that I am a little. I'm confused by why they don't know that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There's a blockage somewhere of the reason why, because first of all, the certifications that doctors or young doctors or new doctors, right? One of the reasons why they're getting the board certs, okay, is first prestige. Okay. They want to belong to that group. Okay. So they're coalition building. They want access to that doctor group because, of course, they may have a situation and they want to call up this real.
Yeah, I know. As a colorist, I do. I like that. I love that group.
So just say this. Let's make no mistake. The movement you have vilified your veterans. You have to remember. You have to understand. Let's say, let me go. The king of lock, Mr. Tondo, our friend, dear brother,
Mr. Cafele,
is one of the most experienced locticians to Everlock commercially, right? And there's still some kind of contention or resistance and arrogance in our ranks instead of genuflecting, because those young doctors are part of those boards because they're genuflecting. They're bowing. They are honoring. They want to be a part of that group. That is one of the situations why we make things up as we go, as if the historical reference is not there. It is because of arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm not saying that we should not be confident. I'm not saying, but I can tell you one thing. If Cheryl Morrow was doing something, and Pamela Farrell and Sheila Hill and Joanne Cornwell and Jane Carter and all of them fabulous damn warrior heroines, I'm not doing the shit over. I'm not starting from scratch. Damn that. I want to know what we did, what happened, how can I make that? Tell me what to do. Okay, so this is what I've got. I'm gonna bring my own genius and brilliance to it. Don't
right. Yeah.
But I'm gonna say, Ladosha, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, and let's do that. And so, and let's not redo this or that. And so, what I'm saying, go ahead.
Yeah, the natural hair community is they're just out of an ethos that's not there. Mm-hmm. It's nothing there because you took it out of something that was already existing. How did you convince yourself that cosmetology didn't teach it? I have zero idea, given what the education is all about. Now, does the cosmetology and barbering education need to be expanded and broadened? Of course. That's just, I think doctors would say the same thing. Mechanics, I have a friend that's a mechanic, and he talks about in their education, why aren't we getting this? I think every profession has the same argument, whether you're an attorney, a doctor. We learned from dermatology, even though Cheryl had already told us, but we learned during the Afro Hair Science Summit in 2023 that dermatologists got zero education on Black skin, and if any, covered on hair. So that's not their profession. So we're not the only people that's complaining about how we need to grow in our education, but to say that it's not there, or to now have to go back, and now you're asking, and we're giving you guys the history so that you will know. That's the secret, is that if you guys want to do this, go into the history of the people, your people who have already done it, because success leaves clues, and follow the format, and you will get to where you need to get to so that your consumers can understand where you're going and you can service them the way that you guys want to. But I'm going to agree with you over and over and over again. And that is, to come back, return to cosmetology where the history is already there, and advocate for that education, to be broadened, not just for, Black people, because other races of people want to know braiding and all that other stuff, and they do it too. It's not like Black people know.
Well, I mean, you guys have to understand. Why do you think? Just please answer me this question. For some reason, in the 21st century, when we talk about appropriation, cultural appropriation, why do we talk about it as if they just did that? They've been freaking doing that shit since the day they met you. So they always have done. So if you think that they've been braiding braiding styles in Russia, braiding styles in Germany, braiding styles, braid. What the hell do you think colonialism was about? It wasn't just the fact that they wanted to just come up here and just snatch your ass. They was looking, they was interested, they wanted to drink, they wanted your food, they was trying to get to improve Europe. They were trying to bring culture and education and language and math and science, and they were trying to civilize Europe. So that's why they had them curly wigs and they had them. That's why they had all that shit. So what I'm saying is, don't make it new now. So the hairstyles in the 17th century that you see in Europe, yeah, they look kind of familiar, don't they? So, but don't make it an other as if it just hatched. It is cultural sharing. It is, that is what they do. That is what the mixing and the mixing and sharing of ideas and culture. But what we're saying is, when you subgroup out, you already have something you want to change. Right. You already have a suffering, right? Don't make the suffering much more severe by isolating the issue when it already belonged in.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's sorry for cutting you off, but that's one of the things that I learned, in becoming an outreach worker in my education, is the isolation is the killer, man. It kills a lot of people in so many ways. That's not the best thing to do. So when we move on to Trisha's next question, Cheryl, she says she has a question. You all mentioned braiders, locticians, and natural hairstylists. I know what folks that do braid and locks do, but what about, but what styles are being done by the third group? Trying to understand. Great question. So natural hairstylists are the people who do all facets of that, but they also use heating implements. Like they can straighten out the hair, they can cut the hair, So remember now, locticians and braiders, they're not allowed to use like chemicals. They're not allowed to cut hair. They're not allowed to use flat irons. So natural hairstylists,
shampoo or water, integrate water.
It depends on what state. So certain states, they don't allow them to also use water. They can't shampoo. But I'm just remember the conversation we said over and over. You got to know your state rules, okay? So in Ohio, the natural hairstylists can do those things. So that is a difference between, they can shampoo and they can, wash. They can also use heat. They can also cut when they're embellishing, the hairstyles. And remember now in Ohio, they were like, no, we don't want that. And they were winning. And how were we able to beat that out? Remember, Fatu came. This is why we brought Fatu to America, to Ohio. Okay, was that whole belief, like Cheryl was saying, is that, this is a Black thing, this is a cultural thing. And we're like, no, we can't do that, guys, because we know that there's so much more. So again, I just can't thank Fatu enough. I can't thank Senator Shirley Smith enough. And I know here in Ohio, I doubt that will ever go away. Those natural hairstylists can now, be licensed. The braiders now can have their certification. And that's because we did what Dr. Katie Wickham did. And I did exactly what she did, so that's how it all worked out, so again, it varies from state to state, but what we're saying as we wrap this up is that the secret we just shared with you guys is that you definitely want to get a cause elevated, show what you can do. You have to partner with those politicians. Why? Because within the society here in America, and of course your particular state or your city or your jurisdiction, those laws are going to vary. What happens in Ohio does not happen in Kentucky, but you have to know your ethos politically so that you can move that agenda the way that you want. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to agree with Cheryl that the worst thing you could have done was just went at it backwards by taking yourselves out of cosmetology and niching it, only to have to come back to the benefits of what a licensure tacked on to continuing education can do for your career and the actual industry. Anything else, Cheryl, you want to say as we begin to wrap this up. You guys are Trish, you got it in. We should have called this the Trish reveals the secret. This was wonderful, guys. Definitely wonderful.
Just great questions. But my closeout would just be, I want you guys to understand what you're up against. And by asking you guys one last question, I hope you guys write this down. Just the question. And think about it. One of the number one issue on the planet for Black peoples of the world is what we call economic gap between the still colonial imperial white powers, okay? And the wealth gap, shall I say, right? Why do you think that there is an enormous wealth gap? I just write that down. Why do you think? And I want you, and actually, there is one word, but you can write down whatever word you want to. Okay.
Why is there a wealth gap?
Why is there an enormous wealth gap between Black peoples of the world, regardless if you're in North America, South America, you're in the continent of Africa, you're in Europe, or you're in Asia or Polynesia? Why is there a wealth gap? A little small group of Europeans.
All right, I'm going to ask you guys to hit that link while you guys are typing in the response. Now it's a good time. Sandra's saying she still don't see them buttons going. This is a great discussion, guys. So show them what they need to do right now. Here we go, guys.
Pump me on, pump me on.
All right, we're wrapping this up. We just revealed the secret history of the Black Haircare Innovators. How did they do what they did to make it happen for those of us working in the field of barbering, cosmetology, nail techs, and of course, being a makeup artist or esthetician? How did they do that? And I think Cheryl did a dynamic job in revealing how it's done. And this is dedicated to the natural hair community, who we wish all of the success in their endeavors to get their field legitimized. And if there's anything that Cheryl and I could do, please reach out. We are reaching out to them, asking them to come onto the show. No one has bit the bait, but I will just continue to ask so that they can, just share with us what we can do and what some of their things are. So, I no, we got no answer, Cheryl. So I will put mine in. I said education.
Okay. So, in other words, in closing, I don't want any of our people in this industry to have to suffer unnecessarily. And 25 years later, we're remaking it up. We made it up in 2000. Now we're remaking it up. And when you talk about Black generational wealth, you guys love to talk about racism, white supremacy, this and this, that, and that's, and this and that. You cannot catch up if you start over every 25 years. Every generation, you guys start over.
So you're saying that's the reason why we have the gap, because we're trying to start over?
Well, in other words, the reason why there's a few Europeans that own the world, literally, is because of one word. It's called inheritance. They just keep passing it. The money, the wealth, the land, the air, the water, the sea, all resources, you don't have access to them. And if we believe that our image, our likeness, our hair, our skin, our complexion, the education to take care of it, everything, the language, the music, the dance, everything that encompasses our likeness, our names, our bodies, everything that comes with it, if we keep screwing around with this thing, you're going to be afraid, scared, out of it. That's the 1 and 2. 3, you're going to be misled out of it. You're going to be misinformed out of it and disinformed out of it. You're going to you keep screwing around with it, and it's anchored in history. Your historicities are already there, okay? And you're going to suffer if you keep making it up. Now we're going to make it up again. Okay, so now we're going to go 2025. Been 25 years. Okay, so now we're going to redo it over 25 years. 25 years ago, you didn't want it. 25 years later, you do want it.
But we still don't have the inheritance, like you said.
But the point is, the inheritance is the decision to be able to marry and engage yourself to the epicenter of the commitment of the original goal. And that was to create industrial coalition, industrial loyalty to our agenda, to even know what the agenda is, to even know what are the narratives that support the agenda and the narratives that support the tactics, the agenda, the narratives that are going to support our campaigns, the agenda that keeps us loyal, the morale high, and the conferences and the coalition that demands that we stick and stay together. And so, if we are going to change it, we are going to change it internally, not externally. We're not going to rewrite history and revise it. That allows us to start new. We're going to gather moss, because at the end of the day, because let me just say this, if they are having, let's just take a little wider, shut up. If their birth rate is low, all they're going to do is they're going to restrict the actions of the ones who are here.
Right.
That's all they're going to do. So I'm just basically saying inheritance is important.
All right, there it is. That's why there's the gap. But you can close the gap. Remember, we talked about how do we get some more education. Here you have it. If you're a licensed cosmetologist, you can attend the Ohio Association of Beauticians. Here they have a class that's going to be hosted by Mr. Rob Willis. You can go check them out. They are, you can follow him on Instagram, and also the Ohio Association of Beauticians. This is their weekend roster that they have coming up. They also have an awards dinner, okay? And then last but not least, on Sunday, they're going to have like a prayer breakfast. So there it is. That's an example of an entire weekend of continuing education. You want to be in that circle of people who have helped pave the way. It all started. Now, this is one of many. There are so many organizations within the cosmetology industry. I just couldn't begin to tell you all of them. But tonight, we are talking about the National Beauty Culturalist League, a legacy of excellence. Since 1919, the current president is this beautiful young woman here. Her name is Dr. A. Laverne Canada. I want to see if we can get her on. I did reach out to someone who actually did a post about her, and we have Dr. Katie Wickham, who took that organization to a level that has a place in history that no one can remove. And now we see it that moved on today, a different level, with Mr. Rob Willis, but it is there nonetheless. So we want you guys to know that again, I hate to sound like Cheryl, but we already did it, So that's the secret. So go back and learn it, and begin to build. When we come back here on this platform on Monday, we're going to start off with the big chop. But the whole month is we want to know what has the natural movement taught us about, cutting that hair. So we're going to start it off with what set. I think this one was the jump off of the natural hair movement, was to cut it all off. And we want to know, what did we learn from cutting off all of our hair? We're talking about why we cut it off. We want to know about that. And then we're going to come back Thursday. We begin our summer series again with the one and only. Here she is. Y'all know this is our favorite person. It's all right. So she's going to be with us here on Thursday. Okay. Getting us ready to, get some of them toxins out for the holidays. Y'all love Dr. Joy Scott, Auntie Dr. Joy Scott. What words can we say to thank you guys? We just, there isn't enough. Trish, we so appreciate you.
Man.
If you have any questions live, please drop them in the chat. Renee and Danny and everybody, we appreciate you. Thank you for helping us reach our goal. We could not have done it without Wike and our virtual co-host Sandra. So we definitely got to give you guys a big round of applause because y'all be in the chat like y'all better push that button. All right, you know what we say when we're signing out, right? We are always forever talking about a whole lot of peace. For sure, a whole lot of love. As you can see in the chat, it was a whole bunch of love coming from Cheryl, coming from me, dedicated to the natural hair community, and a whole lot of hair. But remember now, if you don't want it, can't stand it. Okay, you ain't even interested. I don't care what y'all talking about. I all on. I got my little bald patches. They try to shame me into it. Hey, we say, you know what? Please, guys, do not worry about all of that. Why? Because bald heads and bald patches and hair and no hair, whatever, all that is beautiful too. And so are you. We'll see you on Thursday with Auntie Dr. Joy. You guys have a wonderful night. Cheryl, you're the bomb.com.
Absolutely. You too, sis.
Thank you, guys. We love you. Cheryl, you ready for the chit chat tonight?
I'm ready.
Bam, bam, bam. He or she said, cancel this damn show. They hate it. What? Hold on. Wait a minute.
Make black hair great again.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now,
We're coming, get our check.
Cheryl Morrow, the one, the only, the hair oracle.
Well, it was Red Dot, and then we also had a cosmetology school instructor in the chat, Miss Denise West, Michelle Allen, Miss Foster. Dang, I missed your name. It's always nice to see Miss Foster in the chat. Michelle Allen, you know how much we love you too.
What? About a whole lot of peace. Cheryl, you order that in a bag of chips.